Today I'm taking a look at the WoT Standard B, the Tier 9 Italian medium tank with the auto reload mechanic. And we're just going to say, like, when it comes to the auto reload mechanic, probably the most versatile mechanic in the game, because it effectively gives you the firepower of an autoloader, but not quite to the same extent when you need it, but the versatility of a single shot gun. Now, don't get me wrong, like, they're not quite as good as either of those things in, well, their own type of engagement. Like, in a single shot, like, shot for shot trade, a single shotgun will win against an auto reloader in most cases, but an autoloader will also win against an auto reloader in just a burst fight. So they're not quite as good as either of those things in their own sort of, like, in their own, like, best case scenario, but they are the best overall, I would say, because, like, this having the ability to use your tank as effectively like an autoloader when you need it is great. Like, it's honestly one of the most devastating things you can come across on the battlefield. Now, I'm also going to warn you here, this is actually a fairly long game. It's not quite 15 minutes, but it's not far off of it. So if this video seems a bit long, that's the reason for it. But coming up against these things and the Peugeot 65 as well, recently on the live server, like just in tier 10 games, because it's been top of the tree on the EU server for the last few days. Jesus, it is one of the most annoying things, like, to come up against these things, because I so often end up in situations where, like, I will put myself in a position to do a bunch of damage to, like, an enemy tank destroyer, then suddenly a Peugeot, like, 65 will appear and just do 1,000 damage, and I'm just like, God damn it. I got 2 shots off and you got 1,000 damage, even though you arrived to the fight like 7 seconds after me. I don't know, it's one of those things where it can just be really, really annoying sometimes, or, well, probably about 6 seconds after me. Like, I got 2 shots off and he got 3 shots off in the time period it took me to get, well, 2 shots off. So basically, like, him not being quite as aggressive as I was, effectively still he got more damage from it than me. It's annoying sometimes. Like, it's annoying, like, whenever you're facing against them, because they can just do so much damage to you, and it's annoying when they're on your team because they can take so much damage from you. It's such a weird ass mechanic. It feels so odd to really be like, oh yeah, you're annoying as a teammate because you take damage from me, but you're also annoying as an enemy because you do so much damage to me. So yeah, it's interesting, but overall, I genuinely think this vehicle here is pretty much just a better Leopard PTA, and now I'm actually going to start focusing on the gameplay itself. So for the first couple of minutes there, I was just kind of duking it out with the Standard B on the enemy team, not really much was happening, but now I've got into an opportunity here where I can start fighting the Standard B and the IS-22 at the same time. Took a hit from the IS-22, didn't mind doing that there because, well, it allowed me to finish off a tier 9 medium tank and remove him completely from the fight. So that's 1700 damage done so far, the full health of the enemy Standard B. And for some reason, now this was the critical mistake for the IS-22. The IS-22 fell back behind the Standard B's corpse instead of rushing me. I had just unloaded all 3 shots. And because I had just unloaded all 3 shots, that meant I was incredibly vulnerable for the next probably like 25 to 30 seconds. So that guy just squandered that opportunity to really mess me up if he wanted to. So I choose here now to, like, go around this corner, pump out 2 shots into the IS-22. IS-22 doesn't return fire, which gives me the impression that he was probably trying to do a double shot there, which honestly I probably would have tried the same thing. Just unfortunately for that occasion there, it just wasn't quite quick enough for him to actually get damage towards me. Now the 704 has now joined the fight, and the IS-22 is still over there, so he hasn't started falling back or anything like that. And I think to myself initially, obviously 704 is not going to come forward, but then he does, which surprised me honestly, because the tank destroyers usually aren't particularly aggressive. And as soon as I see the 704 come in this direction, I assume IS-22 must be coming around to my left. It's going to take him a little while because he's a slow heavy tank. 704 fires off a shot and misses completely. Artillery manages to stun me and also do a little bit of damage. Managed to get around the 704. And I deliberately didn't fire when the 704 was in front of me, and I only had 1 shot left in the magazine, so I could pump out 2 shots later instead of sacrificing all the DPM that the tank had. So that was a tactical, like, moment there where I refused to fire off the 3rd shot in the clip because of how long it takes to reload in comparison to the others. Like, a couple seconds makes a big difference when it comes to an engagement like that. So I just held my fire so I could get a double shot, or so I could get 2 shots off into the 704 rather than just the one. Now, that fight there cost me a lot of health, but I am on nearly 3900 damage right now, so this game already has gone fairly well. I've already doubled the HP pool of my tank, and what I'm doing here now is pretty much misdirecting the enemy team, or the enemy tanks. So it looked like I was heading over towards the east, trying to run away. I'm assuming the enemy tanks will probably see that there and think to themselves, oh, that guy's run away, chance to get a kill. And the IS-22 went around to where I was last spotted, I think either trying to spot me or trying to kill me. And the 704 was sitting in position, ready to shoot me if I tried to run away into the distance. So by doubling back, I completely caught them off guard, which allowed me to kill off the 704. Oops, accidentally paused it. And now the IS-22 has to make a decision. Where does he want to go? Does he want to go to the north or to the south? If he goes to the south, it exposes him to getting shot for a lot longer. If he goes to the north, he can get shot a couple times, yeah, but he's more likely to survive if he does that. So I start doubling back yet again, just to where I was before. I can go around the south side of this little like sort of mountain, I guess you would call it. Now the IS-22 is heading back towards where I was last spotted. I think he's assuming I'm probably heading towards his base. So the guy is not even looking in the right direction, so I just pump out 2 shots into him. No real fear of getting shot back in return. Allowed me to finish him off fairly easily. Put me up to nearly 4600 damage. Now this is a bit of a funny moment. I kinda like plant myself here just so that I can try and reload my gun, just kinda relax for a minute. And I start moving away here, and artillery from, like, just so I can point this out, artillery shot me from there. Looking at the line on the map, artillery is there? Or there? I'm not gonna lie, in the game, I thought to myself, no way, that's a UI glitch, no chance. No chance in hell there's an artillery there. So I just pretty much ignore that for now and just don't really pay attention to it. Because I'm just like, no, bullshit, no, that's not right. And then I poke around this corner here, just trying to see if I can see where the T10 is, and the T10 fires off a shot, and it goes over the top of my head. Now, I use this as an opportunity while he's reloading to kind of head over towards the east. But yet again, I'm going to pull my same bullshit tactics of trying to misdirect where the T10 thinks I'm going. So I turn around here and start heading back over towards the west. Now, this is such a weird game because I've done so many like double backs on myself that it just feels bizarre. Like this never normally works, but it's been working so far, so I just keep trying it. And I get so lucky there that the T10 had actually fallen back to like a lower area of ground, so he couldn't actually spot me as I was moving across there, which allows me to try and push myself up in a position. But suddenly IS-3 from nowhere, IS-3 didn't have a chance to get his gun pointed at me, and I got to kill him off before he even had a chance to fire at me. I immediately head over towards these rocks to avoid getting hit by artillery, because I don't want to die to artillery after this game going so well up till this point. I'm not gonna lie, that IS-3 made me jump whenever I was playing the game. I just snapped that shot off as quickly as I could, because I thought I was dead there. But the T10 actually gets spotted moving forward. I'm assuming that was the Borsig that did that. First shot goes low, misses his hull. Second shot hits where I aimed, and third shot goes in just before he gets his gun pointed towards me. If that guy had used his track and turret traverse, he probably could have killed me there. Like, if he got lucky with where his shot went, he probably could have killed me. So I got fairly lucky there in that engagement as well. But just back to the IS-3. The IS-3 caught me completely off guard. I don't know where he was on the map before that. I never actually looked. And it was just sudden, just random ass IS-3. So that was a bit of a shock, but I'm up to 5 kills and nearly 5100 damage. So this game has gone really, really well at this point. Like this is a really good game in my books at this point. I mean, for tier 9 doing 5100 damage against tier 8, that's good in any tier 9, honestly. So I'm going to start heading towards the enemy base now, because I can see the remaining enemy tanks, the Standard B and the Ferdinand, or well, what used to be the Ferdinand and the UDA-03, were alive more down towards the southeast side of the map. I head towards this bush here. I was originally going to stop, but thought to myself, there's not going to be an artillery there, but to my shock there was. And as soon as I see the artillery turn, I think to myself, okay, now I can fire at this guy without having to worry about getting shot back. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, like, Wait, you went through the bush, how did he not spot you? Artillery view range, thankfully these days, is not as good as it once was. It used to be that artilleries had like 400 meter view ranges, and they would use binoculars, which would mean that back with the old artillery mechanics, where they could do basically one shots of any tank in the game, they would always get the first shot off. It was pretty horrific, and especially T-92s with AP rounds or whatever type of ammunition they had, AP or heat, whatever it was, and yeah, there's that random artillery. How artillery got to there, I have no idea. My team must have just completely dropped the ball on that flank. I wasn't paying attention to it because the northwest side of this map was my flank in this game. I had very little help. I had a little bit of help, I think, from artillery and the Carnarvon Action X, but that was my flank in that game. That was 100% just mine. So, I've forgotten what I was saying there, but this is going to be like the last engagement of the game because the M53, M55 is in a position where he's going to get killed by one of my teammates at some point, and as the Standard B is going down that crest, he can't point his gun at me, so I fired off a shot into him, got a little bit more damage, put me up to 5,900, and I'm not going to get too greedy here. I'm just going to try and like wait for my teammates to get up towards the rear of this guy so that I can get at least one more shot into him, hopefully, to get a little bit more damage. And yeah, he's pointing the other direction, so fire the first shot, doesn't go where I needed to. Fire the second shot, get the last bit of damage there, puts me up to 62, 63, and the final kill goes to the IS-32. So that game was worth, I believe, nearly 1,500 base XP. Bear in mind that was a tier 8 game. The HP pool on the enemy team was nowhere near as big as it could have been, and if you look at the amount of damage I did in comparison to the rest of my team, I did an absolute ton there. Like, I basically did what you would usually expect a couple tanks, or maybe even a few tanks to do on that flank. Like, that was basically, like, I basically just owned that entire flank in that game. Now, I did take a lot of damage doing it, but considering the input I had in that game, or just like the outcome of that game, I think it was 100% worth me taking the risk of actually trying to win that flank on my own. Now, I'll be honest, I've tried that before. I've gotten close before to actually winning by doing this sort of thing, but usually I've been in a heavy tank, and the heavy tanks can't fall back in the same way that medium tanks can. That's where the sort of just dynamics of a medium tank come in so handy. I mean, having 10 degrees of gun depression, 268 penetration, even though the alpha damage on this thing 360 is a bit low in comparison to other 105mm, 360 alpha damage is more than enough, honestly. 360 alpha damage feels perfectly fine as far as like tier 9 like alpha damage goes. Like, it's honestly been a lot of fun playing this vehicle. Like, I've grinded 50,000 XP in this thing in the last like couple days because I've been using this opportunity during the Brask challenge to just grind up XP towards the Brask. I think I'm on tier 7 now of the missions, and I'm basically using this as an opportunity to grind XP again for some tier 9s, because I'm doing the 1390, this thing, and the Emil 2, but this thing so far has been by far the most fun. Like, and I can't wait to get a hold of the tier 10, because the tier 10 has proved to be a bit of a nightmare fighting against it, and fighting, well, with it. So I'm very interested in getting that vehicle to see what I can do with it, because that 4-shot auto reloader, I can't feel the words there for a second, it seems like it'll be an absolute just monster, and it just seems like it'll be probably the most annoying vehicle to fight against, because yet again, it may not be better than single shots or auto loaders in their respective engagement types, but the ability to switch between the two basically on the fly is second to none. Like, there's no other vehicles in the game that feel like this. People would argue the IS-32 or just the double-barreled tanks in general have a similar sort of thing, and to an extent they do, but having that third shot makes a hell of a difference. Like, the 2 shots to the IS-22, to SD2 and things like that is good, but the third shot, or the 4th shot in the case of the tier 10, is just so nice to have, and it just gives you opportunities to kill more vehicles and just like win engagements yourself that you wouldn't normally be able to. But I've rammed on for a bit long there. I would recommend the Italian medium tank line to anyone who hasn't tried it out. I can't think of a stinker in that line, and that's a rare thing to be able to say, because tier 6, tier 7, tier 8, tier 9, and even tier 5 and tier 4, I honestly don't remember a really bad tank in this line. I love the tier 6, had some great games in it. Tier 7, same thing. Tier 8, same thing. And this thing here, even more the same. So yeah, great line. I would recommend it to people during this top of the tree event.